I'm excited to have you guys in the studio today. I have Caleb and Zach Warwick with us, and you guys have been really impressing me as to the kind of work that you've been doing, not only in classes, but also in your preparation before you came to Grove City College. They are the founders, along with their brother, of a company called CNZ Audio. And we're going to learn a little bit about that today. Welcome to Innovation Generation, a podcast of the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at Grove City College, where we hear the inspiring stories of entrepreneurs and explore the hopefulness of entrepreneurial thinking wherever we find it. I'm your host, Tim Sweet, and this is Innovation Generation. Welcome, Caleb. Welcome, Zach. Glad you're here in the studio with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I'm excited to jump into this conversation for sure.
Yeah,
Now-
thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So let's tell me a little bit about your journey to get to Grove City. Let's talk a little bit about that, and then we'll dig into some of the things you're doing in your business and in school.
So I had a kind of roundabout journey to Grove City because Nathan, my older brother, went here, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to the same college as my brother because I wanted to like pave my own path. And then when I decided to make the massive switch from wildlife biology to graphic design or something business related, Grove City popped back up on the map, and I'm like, it's like there's no school like it. It's kind of like the only option that would make sense to come to. And so I was like, I can put up with being with Nathan for a couple of years. Yeah. So I decided that like spring semester of senior year. And I had already applied just to like see if I would get in.
Sure.
And so I had that opportunity open, and that's how I ended up at Grove.
It's kind of a big jump from wildlife biology to design and innovation.
Yeah.
Wow. So what was it that caused you to make that pivot as a high school student?
I kind of realized that my interest in like outdoors, I love like camping, hiking,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But it was much more of a hobby than what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And so as I took a graphic design class in high school, I think it was junior year, and I just fell in love with it. And so as I realized that my hobby for outdoors was much more of a hobby than something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life, I realized that graphic design and kind of the entrepreneurship that I had already begun to practice with our business was something that I really wanted to get into. So,
Right. So you were one of the first design innovation
Yep.
majors. So I think the first class here at Grove City
Yeah.
College, right?
yeah.
Yeah. How's that been for you?
Oh, it's been amazing. I remember talking to you as I came to visit here, and you introduced that major to me as something that would be coming up, and I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted to do, the combination of like entrepreneurship, graphic design, communications, marketing, pretty much the four majors that I was trying to decide between. So, yeah.
So you didn't have to decide.
No, I didn't have to decide. It was like the perfect opportunity, and definitely something that I felt God was kind of calling me towards here in that major.
Yeah.
So.
But Caleb, you're a senior, and Zach, you're a sophomore.
Yeah.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about your journey to Grove City and
Yeah.
how you thought about choosing a major and getting into this whole space.
Yeah, so kind of similar to Caleb's reasoning, I didn't want to follow my brother's path at all. So it wasn't just Nathan that we didn't want to follow.
So is this
It was just the
there's
idea.
three of you in the family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it typical kind of brother relationships? You love each other most of the time and have a little sparring and competition at other times?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
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 And we grew up doing, like, we all were, like, homeschooled, did Boy Scouts together, did cross country, track, and so we were always doing, like, the same things, which was fun to do kind of the same things together. We were able to enjoy a lot of the same activities. But I think as we got to college, we kind of realized that we maybe wanted to split our paths a little bit more.
Yeah.
So,
And
Yeah.
yet you chose as a major.
I chose communications.
Yes.
And then I also have design and innovation as another major. So yeah, this school is just great. I was looking at some other schools, Liberty University, Indiana Wesleyan, some schools like that, because I was like, I want to pave my own path again. But I visited here and I'm like, man, I can't pass this school up. Like the people here are incredible. I had a conversation with you and some other professors and I was like, I got to go here. So, yeah.
Well, we're sure glad that both of you are here and that you found your unique and differentiated pathway to get here.
Mm-hmm.
But and I've gotten to know all of you in your family, including your parents, who make visits once in a while to the campus. One of the things that really impressed me about your family is that your mom and dad really helped you on the way to exploring the world of entrepreneurship, design, and innovation in a very unique way. Would you mind telling our audience what they did to help you create an experience in high school with CNZ Audio?
Yeah, sure. So as we mentioned, all three of us kids were homeschooled. So this allowed for some really, really great experiences like with traveling. We did a lot of more practical education. So my parents were a huge part in that. And then being willing to teach us and do all that is just has been a huge blessing. So my dad started his own business about 20 years ago.
So he's an entrepreneur.
So he's an entrepreneur. So he sells electrical controls and some other signaling products. So he has a ton of knowledge in that area. So he and my mom were like, hey, we need to teach the kids entrepreneurship. Like it's an idea that runs in the family and we should teach them that. So my mom, as the story goes, my mom gets out a textbook, purchases a textbook from online, and it's just a bunch of memorizing terms and like my dad is like, oh, like why are we doing this? Like, how about we just start a business? So my mom was like, oh, great. Like, let's do that. Like, why didn't we think of that? So
she was in a teaching mode, and he saw it from a different point of view.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so really interesting. So in 2016, we kind of came up with this idea, and we were all interested in music at the time. We all kind of took piano lessons earlier in life, and then Caleb and I were really involved in our worship team at church. So we were like, hey, we really love music. We want to learn entrepreneurship. Let's combine them and start a business.
Fantastic.
So,
So the music business is tough, right? The musical instrument business is a highly competitive business.
Correct. Yep.
What are some of the big brands in online e-commerce for the musical instrument business?
Yeah, I mean, you hear of all the big names, especially in guitars, of Fender, Gibson, Squier.
So you've got the brand names.
Yeah, you got the brand names.
Yeah.
For sure. And then there's a lot of other, like, have you heard of Sweetwater?
Yeah.
As well. They're more of a distributor, but they're a massive name in selling a lot of products. And then there's a variety of effects pedal companies and percussion. So it's definitely a saturated and competitive market for sure.
Right. Yes. But here, you three guys, you were how old? 11, maybe? 12?
somewhere around there.
Yeah. And you were
I
just
think I was
14 or something?
14, 15, yeah.
And Nathan just a couple of years older.
Yep.
And here you are, three brothers, teenage years, saying, let's see if we can make a mark in the online musical instrument business.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It kind of started out as like, let's learn entrepreneurship and just like a little project.
Yeah.
And then over the years, it's actually turned into a real business and we're like actually making revenue and making money. And it's cool to see that kind of shift throughout time. So,
Did your parents have any idea that it would get to where it is now?
I think my dad, being the visionary, could always see it going somewhere. I think we didn't necessarily realize how big it could become until we started like selling products and getting some feedback from other people about the products that we sold or our friends, and be like, this is really great. Like we had a couple people at the beginning be like, this is better quality than like some pedals that I've bought for several $100s, and we're selling like $65 pedals. And so some of the initial feedback and the continued feedback is kind of showing how what we have is something really special and we can do a lot with it.
So early on in your process, you had to figure out what's our value proposition, right? Where are we going to insert ourselves into the market? What niche in the market are we going to aim for? Could you tell us a little bit about your strategy, your thinking around that, and then maybe how you started to think about products that would work well in that environment?
Yeah, so we were looking at the market, and as we talked about, there's like you got Fender, you got Gibson, the top ones everyone knows about, and then you go down to the lower end, and you have like First Act, and some companies like that are really cheap. I would say those guitars are like under $100, whereas Fenders go up in the thousands.
Sure.
So we're like, there's a hole here where not many companies are. So so we kind of developed this idea of how about we offer affordable gear while still maintaining good quality and kind of fit in that medium range. So
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So you must have had to do a lot of research in this, correct?
Yeah, we have. So it's actually still up, but there's one of our conference rooms has just walls covered with whiteboard. I think maybe 2018 we just sat down and we're like, okay, what is our, or 2017, I don't know when, but what is our target market and who are they and who are our competitors, and just like the all four walls are covered in just notes of like who are the people that we're trying to sell to, how can we reach them, what other brands do they enjoy, what are their issues with the current offerings, and how can we kind of find a niche that we can fit into. And so there was a lot of research and a lot of feedback, being connected with the worship team at our church, and just being connected with more musicians. We were able to like bring something to church and be like, hey, what do you guys think of this? And they would just like mess around with it after service and be like, this is amazing. I love it. And so a lot of very practical feedback from the people that surrounded us, as well as some like market research to figure out exactly where we should fall and how we should position our business.
That's great. So what brands do you typically sell? Now, let's take guitars, for example. What brands do you feature on your website?
So all our stuff besides our cajones are actually our products.
Yeah.
That
Really?
we design, manufacture, and sell.
Wow, so you're not reselling. You're actually creating your own brand.
Correct.
You've figured out how to source products from a variety of manufacturers,
Yep. Yeah.
and you bring that to the market with your label.
correct.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of trade shows, like music trade shows over in California, Nashville, even one in China, and trying to find manufacturers that we can work with to design some good quality products that we can sell to the market that we've created. So,
Yeah.
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 Does everything then go under the brand CNZ Audio?
Yeah, it does. We have Echo Slap is our cajon brand, who we're the only U.S. supply or U.S. Distributor for them, but
Where are those manufactured?
they're manufactured in Thailand.
In Thailand.
Yeah.
Fantastic. How did you get into the cajon business? I mean, was it through the worship experience?
It was actually, so 2016, Zach was getting into guitars, and effects pedals is kind of like the next step. Like you get an electric
Sure.
guitar, and then you get a couple pedals.
Right.
And so my dad had been looking at suppliers because we had thrown around this idea of business, and so we found a supplier for pedals, and Zach got a couple for Christmas, just to mess around with. And then I don't know when it was, but somewhere between Christmas, like right around Christmas, we decided to fly out to a trade show in California that January.
Wow.
And so my dad and I went out there, and we were walking around, just looking. We were meeting with a couple of different suppliers, but also, trade shows, you just walk around for a couple of days and see what interesting things are out there. And we saw this cajon manufacturer with some kind of unique designs. And we're like, let's just stop and talk and see what they're up to. And we talked with them a little bit, and it seemed like some products that could definitely sell in the market and kind of fit with our brand. And so it was really just like almost like a coincidence of just like seeing these suppliers at the trade show, and it just kind of flew from there.
Wow. So in terms of the biggest volume of product that you sell on your site, is that still guitars?
Yeah.
Okay. And you sell how many a day typically? Or a week or?
Yeah, I would say roughly 3 to 4 a day.
Okay.
Roughly, it's different.
It varies a lot,
Yeah.
especially
Sure.
throughout the seasons. Summer and Christmas are really big, and then also just weekends are much more common. So when
Sure.
we get into the office Monday, we got maybe 10 orders to ship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out, so
So you're selling dozens of guitars out of your online store every month.
yeah.
And how about the Cajones? How does that compare volume-wise to guitar sales?
The Cajones started off strong. We're having a little some issues with the supplier and just keeping product in. The guy we worked with in the beginning stepped out, so we're having a little
Yeah.
bit of trouble. But we're actually now locating new suppliers and going to start a separate Cajon business and release a new
Wow.
new line of Cajones.
So under the CNZ name, or is it a sub-brand?
It'll be a different brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yep.
Different site altogether?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're still throwing around the idea, and
Sure.
with entrepreneurship, pivoting is a big aspect of it. So we're kind of looking at some different suppliers and seeing how that fits in the CNZ brand or a different brand, or kind of where that falls. But yeah, definitely something we're exploring.
So are you buying inventory and storing that inventory and shipping it yourselves? Is that the
Yeah,
model?
we are.
Yep. So my dad, as we mentioned, he has a couple businesses, and he has a warehouse with that where he keeps a lot of inventory. And so we've kind of slowly taken over more and more of the back corner of the warehouse.
Yeah.
It's like every shipment that comes in, he's like trying to reorganize like the next row of shelving
Sure.
to see if we can get like ours on like this half and keep his on this half.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a balancing act, but
But it's a
yeah.
good problem to have.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, we've been so lucky to have that just to limit the cost of
Sure.
renting a warehouse or buying
Yeah.
a warehouse.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
been huge.
And facing even some of these issues, whether the fulfillment issues or the supply chain issues or the inventory management issues, I mean, you learn so much, don't you, when you dig into a business like that? Has it been fun for you? Has this been an enjoyable experience, or does it seem like a lot of work?
It's
Yeah,
been fun.
I've
Yeah.
really loved it. I mean, obviously, it's running a business.
Yeah.
And it's challenging and a lot of work. And pretty much all of our breaks from college are just spent in the office, shipping things, trying to strategize, and doing other things. But it's been something that it's a great learning experience too. And just, I mean, you can recognize the value of learning how to run your own business at 15. And so I've really enjoyed it. But it's also not without its challenges.
Yeah,
So,
Sure.
Definitely realized how much time it takes to run a business. And my dad has kind of like been an example of that too. Just the evenings he's spent working and time he's really spent like just grinding. And
Sure.
it's been really cool to see, but
Yeah.
very difficult. So
But it's a family effort.
yeah, it is.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and the opportunity to do that with Nathan and Caleb and my dad and my mom also, it's been so cool.
So when Nathan was here at Grove City College, he studied entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
and you guys were back home running the business. Now that he's graduated and you're here, that's flipped, right?
Yeah.
All right. So how do you stay involved in a business like that when you're a couple hours away?
Yeah, that's been a difficult part for sure. And huge thanks to Nathan because he's really carrying the weight for us,
Sure.
and my dad as well. I think it's been difficult. We've really prioritized when we go home for the breaks or summer, just really hitting social media and marketing hard. And then while we're away, Nathan does a lot of the design work and new products, new product development, and creating the designs for those new products and packaging. And then when we go home for breaks, we'll do the marketing for that. So that's kind of how it's worked out. But again, it's been difficult to work here, especially with the demand of a
Right.
college life.
Right.
So
You've got classes to attend and homework to do and tests to take and
Yeah.
projects to be a part of and papers to write, I suppose.
that's right.
I think there's a recognition as well that like we are like paying a lot to go to college, and so we have kind of the obligation to make the most out of our college experience while we're here. And with that, it's kind of been whoever's at home is kind of working on the business, and whoever's here, we definitely talk about the business and kind of strategizing things. But our main priority is getting the most out of the college experience.
I think that's wonderful that you've been able to separate those items and yet still maintain an appropriate level of engagement in both the business and in your academic work.
Yeah.
So you chose design innovation as a major. How do, and I know you do a lot with design as well, but maybe let's think about this through the lens of your own experience. How do entrepreneurship and design flow together? Where are there places where there's some commonality, and maybe where do communication and entrepreneurship go together? How has this all worked for you?
Yeah, it's actually very seamless. Pretty much in all my classes, I'd say 85% of my classes, I'm doing some kind of design work along with it. Like in my marketing classes with Dr. Powell, who I absolutely love, I've been the one kind of designing some of the presentations and things to make that happen. Obviously with classes like e-commerce or Lean Launchpad, it's been a lot of like me doing some of the branding for the businesses that we've created. Even in business planning with Professor Smith for the Wolverine Venture Battle, I've been doing some of the branding for that. And it even just like in the little things of like designing some like documents for just like random assignments. I think it's been a pretty seamless combination. And also when a startup, the people, however many people involved, have to wear a lot of hats. And so that combination of being able to design and to market the idea that you have and having the skills to do that effectively is really helpful, so that you don't have to bring on additional people for your business that early.
You mentioned the e-commerce class and the business planning class and Wolverine Venture Battle. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that e-commerce experience and what you did in that class?
Yeah. So e-commerce, it was a really fun class. We basically, for most of the semester, we designed and built up a business with a team, and we sold products online. And it was a pretty fascinating process. We sold these metal bracelets that you could stamp like something custom on. A lot of times we stamped like coordinates, so people could on the wrist have like almost like a reminder of a location, whether it's like where they got engaged, where they got married, where they went on their first date, whatever it is, where their house is, who knows,
Sure.
favorite place to live in the world.
Yeah.
And so that was a really fun process of just like being with 4 people for the entire semester and kind of getting into the nitty gritty of running an e-commerce business.
So you actually built a website to sell product and
Yep.
Yeah.
And then like social media marketing presence. And there were a couple like pop-up shops, little stores that we could run on campus. There were some opportunities for that, which was amazing.
but within a couple of months, you were able to do all of that and drive some revenue to the business model.
Yeah, all the way from like ideation to actually handing over a pretty sizable profit to a nonprofit organization.
So you chose a charity, all right, beforehand, right? Your team
Yep.
chose a charity,
Yeah.
and you knew that the profits would be going to that charity
Yeah.
at the end of
Yeah.
the semester. Fantastic. Sometimes thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah, it's impressive.
Great. What about you, Zach? So you're coming at things from a communication major, right? You're a communication major, but you take some entrepreneurship courses as well and get involved in entrepreneurial experiences here on the campus through the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation and other opportunities.
Yeah.
Tell us how those kind of work together.
Yeah, so kind of like Caleb said, it's been super cool to see all 3 of us like have a lot of overlapping in our majors, but also kind of find our niche. And it's honestly been really seamless how it's worked out within our business.
Yeah.
So I'm communications. Coming into school, I really enjoyed writing. I still really enjoyed writing, but I wanted to do a shift kind of towards that area. So I've taken some like a journalism class, helping just write articles and things like that, which has really helped apply to entrepreneurship in like writing blog posts, writing like product descriptions and things like that. That's a lot of what I focus on for CNZ. Just the content has allowed me to just be able to do that, which has been really cool.
And you really need that from a search engine optimization
Yeah, for
perspective,
sure.
from a marketing point of view.
Mhm.
So this is interesting. You all three of you have been able to specialize in your business
Yeah.
and to add unique elements of value to the whole process.
Yeah.
So what do you like best about being involved in entrepreneurship here while being a comm major here at Grove City?
Yeah. I would say Professor Sweet is probably my favorite part. Just kidding. I mean, not kidding.
Kidding,
But-
not kidding, yeah.
But for real, the professors have been such a great source of information, and just like coming alongside us in our business has been really cool. I've really enjoyed e-commerce and Lean Launchpad. Such great classes.
Tell us about, because were you in the same e-commerce class or different,
Not the same.
different
one.
years?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the Lean Launchpad class.
Yeah, so this was so e-commerce is taking the business and actually starting it, going all the way. This was the idea of everything from the ideation to actually starting the business. So we created an idea. We were called Songbird, and our idea was to teach music to kids with special needs, and there were a lot of neurological benefits to this, and like developing a lot of skills, like fine motor skills, from teaching them music. So it was a really interesting idea. We developed an app, not actually the app, but we developed some ideas of what the app could look like.
Sure. You prototyped it.
Prototyped.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this was not only learning about the ideation and coming up with the business, but I think a lot of what I learned was how to work as a team. And this was a huge skill to learn, and obviously can apply to our business. I was definitely blessed with some really hard workers on our team. There were a couple other teams in my class that were, not that they didn't have as good of people, but just had more trouble working together.
Sure.
Yeah.
Dynamic is very important.
Oh yeah, it's so important.
Yeah. Even within a family can be challenging, right? Because you know each other so well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you actually have a family business that
Yeah.
you're running. So taking it in a different direction, you were working with people that you really didn't know that well before,
Yeah.
but found it to be profitable to figure out who's going to play what role, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so important to work well as a team and communicate well, and definitely learn the value of that.
Yeah. So you participated in the Wolverine Venture Battle last year, and the team did pretty well, right? You won some money as a team, is that
We
correct?
did. We won a little bit of money.
But what do you mean by a little bit?
We won just over $6,000 as a team.
Yeah.
So we got the first place team for our Lean Launchpad. So
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's really cool to see that pay off, and
Yes,
people
it
like our
literally
idea.
pay off.
Literally pay off.
Yeah.
And people like our idea, and
Yeah. When I heard the idea, I thought that's really smart.
Yeah.
And it really could be a business. Do you think, I mean, it's a musically related business. Do you think that's something that you might take up at some point?
it could be. Yeah, our team considered taking it up. We decided to kind of take a pause from it and then actually revisit it later on. So that option is still open, and I think it's it could be a really good business.
Yeah.
So obviously people liked it. So
And there's a huge
Yeah.
need. A lot of empathy built into that business model for sure.
yeah. So
And you are taking business planning right now, is that
Yes.
correct? And as such, you're going to actually be participating in the Wolverine Venture Battle this spring.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what you're working on.
Yeah, so the idea came from one of my teammates, David Bugo. a genius. I'm blessed to work with Lou Goen and David Lugo on this project. But it's essentially a software as a service that combines an AI with some SEO and marketing software.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a fascinating business idea, and something that if we actually implemented it could skyrocket. We kind of identified a pretty sizable gap in the market that we think we can squeeze into, and yeah, it's a fascinating process. We've obviously gone through the first 2 rounds of the Wolverine Venture Battle,
Sure.
and it's been fun building out the kind of logistics, and we've worked on the finances this past week, and just what that could look like. And it's so fun to work with these guys on this project, and I'm excited to potentially participate in the final round. So
Very good. So you're going through the process now. It's not guaranteed that you participate in the final, but you've
Correct.
been going through each of the qualification phases
yep, yeah,
to get there.
yeah, and they've liked this so far. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
That sounds exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to hear it when it's all put together and in a nice package that you can present.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the future of CNZ Audio? And if people are interested in checking out your website, where would they go?
Yeah, cnzaudio.com is our website. And then Instagram, CNZ Audio. And they're all linked together. So
Just use one social media account.
yeah.
Is there a reason why you chose Instagram as a platform for promoting your business as opposed to others?
Yeah, with our target audience being, we try to target more like high school and college kids that were looking for, like, didn't have a lot of money, but were still looking for quality products that they could play in the band or at church or whatever. And so obviously that market uses a lot of social media, specifically Instagram.
So that's your sweet spot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of the sweet spot that we found. But we're also advertising on Facebook as well. So
Okay.
we're kind of dipping our toes in a lot, but focusing on Instagram.
Sure. And do you buy ads on Facebook?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And how about Instagram? Is that paid, or do you do a lot of organic content development there?
It's mostly organic, but we definitely pay for some things, just because paid advertising,
Sure.
it pays off. So,
Yeah, it works. It's
Yeah.
driving traffic.
Yeah.
Wow. So, in terms of the future of CNZ Audio, where do you see it going? You're graduating, right, in a
Yeah.
couple of months,
Yeah.
and back home to participate in the business in a
Yep.
more intense way.
Yeah, that's the plan. I don't know quite what God is calling me toward in the next 5 years, but the plan right now is to work at CNZ, and it's so much fun just working with Zach and Nathan and my dad. Just being able to have those like midnight chats over a bowl of cereal about business strategy, it's a blast. And so if that's what God calls me towards long term, I'd absolutely love that. So yeah.
But it may open doors to other things that you hadn't
Yeah.
encountered yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about for you, Zach? Do you see some longevity with this business?
I definitely do.
Yeah.
I definitely do. It's a great opportunity. I think our goal as of now for the future is to be able to support all 3 of us on CNZ, at least by the time I graduate. So it's a big goal, but we'd love to be able to do that. I think whether it's CNZ or something else, I will end up in my own business
Yeah.
for sure.
Fantastic.
It's just been so much fun. So
I've had a lot of fun this semester talking with you about your business. You're taking my search engine optimization course. And just as we start to think about applying principles in a real world business scenario, you mentioned to me a product that I had never even thought about before, but it's really something that has been selling well for you. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
yeah, so one of our main sellers is mini guitars. So this has been just a huge seller and an unexpected seller. So we kind of found a niche with selling mini guitars. Fender has a few mini guitars, but there's really not a huge market for them, a lot of options for them in the market.
Yeah.
So we started selling them, and then a few people picked up on them and started throwing them out on forums. And we ended up having a ton of sales for our JB Mini Bass based off this forum. So that is now our best seller.
Wow.
Yeah.
Of all the guitars, this mini bass guitar
Mini Bass. Yeah.
is your best seller.
Yeah.
Who's buying these? I'd
Yeah.
love to know.
Yeah, so this is interesting too. We originally brought these in for kids and for people, for kids mainly. And then for these mini basses, the people that found them on this forum were a lot of older people who didn't have as much dexterity and just smaller hands, maybe smaller people that wanted a smaller instrument and easy to play. So,
Wow.
yeah. So an unexpected shift in the target market, which has been really cool to see. And yeah.
So do you start advertising? Once you kind of get a sense that there's some demand for that, do you start advertising and creating content that is going to help to drive more of that, to get more exposure? And
Yeah, for sure. And I think as we move forward, Facebook will probably become a higher priority because of this
Yeah.
shift in the market. So,
you have a lot of Facebook people who are in a different demographic than Instagram.
yeah.
Wow.
So,
Well, it'll be exciting to see. I'm just so thrilled that you and your brother have been here at Grove City, and your parents have been such a support to both of you in not only in your high school education, but also continuing as a support in your college education. And you've found some very unique ways to combine design, innovation, communications, it's and entrepreneurship. It's all working together quite nicely for you. We look forward to many more years of success. I can't wait to see what God's going to do with your business and with each of you as He calls you to greater things for the rest of your lives.
Yeah, thank you. It's exciting what the future's going to hold.
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
being here today.
Yeah.
And we'll refer people to cnzaudio.com to
Great.
see what's going on with the Warwick brothers.
yeah, great. Thank you so much. We've learned so much from our time here at Grove City, and so much has been able to be applied to our business, and it's been really cool. So thank you for that.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
excited for all of you.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Thanks for having us on this podcast too. It's
Oh.
fun to be involved with something like this and know that you respect us enough to bring us on.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I want to celebrate this kind of thing. And I think there might be a lot of high school students out there that are wondering, I'm interested in business, but I don't know how to get it done. Would you ever be willing to share some information with a prospective student who might want to
Yeah. Oh,
learn how to do that?
For sure.
Well, we'll have to have you, once you graduate, and you both will, we'll have you back to tell the story so that future generations can learn from the things that you've been working on over these last 8 years.
Excellent.
That'd be
I'd
amazing.
love to do that.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thanks for joining us today on Innovation Generation. We're glad you could join us, and we invite you to come back for more episodes. To contact us, you can find us at gccentrepreneurships.com, or you can follow us on social media at GCC Entrepreneur.